And here we are at Watkins Glen with the Lotus 49. The Lotus 49 was introduced in 1967, and it is one of the most influential Formula One cars ever made. Probably the first reason it's so influential is that the engine and gearbox were actually a stressed part of the chassis. So all the suspension components bolted up directly to the engine, lowering the center of gravity and the weight of the car. And this was revolutionary for 1967. Pretty much every Formula One car today has followed that concept. As you can see, the tires are treaded, so not a lot of grip. And back in 1967, this is very dangerous. This is why so many Formula One drivers perished. There's a little opposite lock for you. Nice slide. Now, despite having the grip of a Volkswagen Beetle, the Lotus 49 had a 3-liter Ford V8 that produced 408 horsepower at 9,000 RPM. It also made 270 pound-feet of torque. Just truly astonishing numbers. And there's another nice slide. This car is so hard to drive. It's like you're rolling on marbles. And that's why so many drivers crashed and died. Now, unfortunately, in 1967, they used a different version of Watkins Glen. It was not in its present-day configuration, so I couldn't make a direct comparison of lap times. But as a testament to how hard this car was to drive, the 6th-place finisher back in 1967, the last points-paying position, was 7 laps down to the winner. It's these cars were very fragile, and the attrition rate was very high. Very different from today's Formula One. So here's a hot lap of Watkins Glen. Another big slide there. Going through here, these S's, we're using 4th gear, but very easy on the throttle, because even at the top of 4th gear and even the top of 5th gear, this car is just so skittish and wants to spin out and kill you. You'll also notice the steering wheel is offset to the left, and that was because these cars were stick shift back then. You'll notice the gear shift to the right. So while braking for corners, they had to heel-toe downshift to get in the proper gear. There was no sequential gearboxes yet. The other really odd thing, if you notice that tube that runs down the side of the cockpit on the driver's side, that was actually for fuel. The fuel tank was in front of the driver, basically right in front of his legs, and the fuel was carried outside the body of the car back to the engine. Eventually, Lotus developed the 49 even further, so it, the next season, developed wings for it to try and provide some level of downforce. And the engine, the Ford V8, which was called the DFE, actually powered Formula One cars up until the early 90s.